On World News Tonight this Wednesday, the $10 million campaign advertising attack. The Republicans go after the Democrats using the Lewinsky scandal. The National Basketball Association cancels another 2 weeks of the schedule. And beyond the horizon, as John Glenn gets ready to fly for a second time, we'll take a closer look at the women who were denied a trip the first time.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. We're going to begin tonight with what the Republican Party has in mind for the last several days of the election campaign. Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky. After being quiet on the subject for most of the campaign, the Republicans have unleashed $10 million of political ads designed to move the president's affair and his lies about it right to the center of the final week's political debate. Here's ABC's John Cochran.
After heated arguments among Republicans about whether to make Bill Clinton the issue, they decided to take a chance to juice up a campaign that has left so many voters indifferent.
What'd you tell your kids?
I didn't know what to say.
It's wrong. For 7 months he lied to us.
But aren't there other things to do?
I'd say it's okay to lie. Besides, the Republicans are doing them.
The ads do not specifically mention the Lewinsky scandal. One of them uses a sly reminder, a picture only of the finger-wagging moment when the president denied he had sexual relations with that woman.
So even if there's one person who doesn't want the Republicans in charge, remember, it's your choice. For balance, vote Republican.
The president said Republicans have the right to show any ads they want, but
I believe that it's always best if the elections are about the American people and their families and their future.
As for himself and the scandal,
the American people have had quite a decent amount of exposure to that. I hope very much that they have seen that I'm doing my best to atone for it. I think what people ought to say to their children is that when someone makes a mistake, they should admit it and try to rectify it.
Republican leaders know their ads could provoke a backlash from voters sick of the scandal. That's why one ad will be shown only in 3 southern districts to boost turnout in areas where Republican polling already shows great hostility to Bill Clinton.
This year the question is, should we reward Bill Clinton? Should we make the Democrats more powerful?
Republicans had found that their earlier ads had little impact, especially on voters who could go either way. That is who the party is targeting with the new ads.
Are they going to help our folks? Are they going to gin up Republican turnout? Sure. But more importantly, what they're going to do is to give swing voters a rationale to continue a Republican Congress.
What finally convinced Republican officials was the feeling that although using the Clinton scandal was risky, if they didn't use it and then did badly in the election, they would feel even worse. John Cochran, ABC News, Washington.
So much of the political debate in America these days is on television. In many parts of the country, it's the only connection many voters have with the issues. In several southern states tonight, much of the television advertising is focused on gambling, morals, and education. 2 Republican governors in states where they should be easy winners are having a heck of a fight about lotteries. Here's ABC's Rebecca Chase.
In the Deep South, Republicans and religious conservatives regularly preach against the evils of gambling.
Gambling is a moral plague that lines the pockets of a few very rich predators.
But Democrats have discovered that gambling, if it is a state lottery, can be a winning issue.
The Sigelman Lottery Plan will let any student who works hard and graduates high school go to college tuition free.
Even in staunchly conservative Alabama, the Democratic candidate for governor, Don Siegelman, has unexpectedly pulled ahead of Republican incumbent Bob James, mostly on the strength of one issue.
I say yes to a lottery. Bob James says no.
There is a similar story in South Carolina. In the most Republican state in the nation, Republican Governor David Beasley is in a surprisingly close race. His Democratic challenger's main attack? That Beasley, by opposing a lottery, is letting $100 million a year leave the state to play the lottery next door in Georgia, paying for Georgia students to go to college.
Thank goodness your governor, David Beasley, won't let y'all have a lottery. As you might expect, here in Georgia, we love David Beasley.
In both Alabama and here in South Carolina, The Democratic candidates have turned the lottery into an education issue as a popular way to put more money into schools without raising taxes.
We ought to use the lottery to try to do some specific things in education.
In South Carolina, the $2 billion video poker industry has spent millions to support the lottery candidate and defeat Governor Beasley. But Beasley has tried to turn the tables, warning that the lottery is really a smokescreen for something much worse.
This race isn't about the lottery. It's about whether we're going to allow organized gambling to buy the governor's office.
This tactic seems to be working. Beasley has fought back and now has a slight lead in the polls.
Yo, South Carolina.
His latest ad features a mafia stereotype who can't wait for Democrat Hodges to win.
When he comes through, bada bing, we hit the jackpot. And then everything we got here in Atlantic City, you's going to get right there in South Carolina. You know what I mean?
Each of these elections will be seen as a referendum on the lottery and whether this issue is powerful enough to give Democrats the winning numbers. Rebecca Chase, ABC News, Columbia, South Carolina.
In other news today, there were two items about AIDS. In Washington, President Clinton has announced new funding to educate people about AIDS, $156 million, some of it for grants to reach minority communities where AIDS continues to rise. And the United Nations is predicting that the world's population will hit 6 billion by next year, and it would have been even higher, but researchers say that AIDS is slowing the rate of growth. 2.3 million adults and children around the world died from AIDS last year, most of them in sub-Sahara Africa. 30 million people are currently infected. Other news when we come back. Pro basketball off the court for even longer. Now the little guys are feeling it too. And the astronauts who were qualified but never went beyond the horizon, the women of Mercury 13.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, brought to you by the makers of new Advil liquid gels.
Cars are now breaking the sound barrier. Serves are clocked at 140. We can travel 18,000 miles an hour into space. So how come pain relief isn't faster? Introducing Advil Liquid Gels, the first and only pain reliever in a faster-acting liquid-filled capsule that's gentle on your stomach. On tough pain, Advil Liquid Gels are stronger and faster than extra-strength Tylenol. Headaches to muscle aches. New Advil Liquid Gels. Advanced medicine for pain. Stronger and faster.
Here. Introducing the new Silverado. It's bigger. It's more powerful. It's the truck from Chevrolet.
Buy a set of 4 selected Goodyear tires before November 28th and get a $50 or $100 U.S. savings bond. For the retailer nearest you, call 1-800-GOODYEAR.
Money in sports again. The National Basketball Association has canceled another 2 weeks of the season. That's on top of 2 weeks called off already because of the ongoing labor struggle between the players and the owners, and so no basketball until at least December. And if the lockout continues, the whole season is in jeopardy, which means it isn't just multimillionaire players and owners who are losing out. Here's ABC's John Frankel.
Like the long arms of so many NBA players, the league's prosperity reaches far and wide, making lots of money for other businesses. So no games means hard times for others, including the taxpayers. This is Reunion Arena, home of the Dallas Mavericks.
Our facility specifically would lose millions. Approximately 40% of our operating revenue would be gone.
The Mavericks rent this arena from the taxpayers. As with half of the buildings used by NBA teams, it is publicly owned.
The city that stands behind the arena is going to continue to have to pay the debt on the bonds. So the cities will, some of the city budgets will end up being hurt by this.
In Philadelphia, the NBA has secured 90% of all hotel space downtown for its All-Star Weekend in February. Canceling that game could cost the city $30 million, and this Marriott hotel business that will be hard to replace.
Economically, to us, it's
between $750,000 and $800,000.
No games will even step on the toes of ever-present Nike, which has more than $100 million tied up in NBA promotions.
Some of those products, those shoes, the only exposure they'll get will be on the feet of those players, so clearly that'll be missed.
William Torres and his staff here at the Sporting Club in New York City count on pro basketball. NBA games bring in the crowds and carry the bar through the winter.
Without basketball, if we get maybe 5 or 6 tables, it'll be considered, a good night.
Clearly, this lockout will rob the fortunes of more than just the owners and players.
Somebody's going to have to hit them over the head or something, make them, come to their senses and realize it's not just all about them.
John Frankel, ABC News, New York.
One other item about sports and money. In Houston today, a judge has said that a 17-year-old Olympic gymnast can be legally declared an adult and become independent from her parents. Dominique Moceanu will now be able to take control of the money she's earned as a gymnast and begin looking for the millions of dollars that she says her parents have squandered. When we come back, what is going on in Brazil and why should Americans care?
Just a thought, that's what Einstein said. Just a view of the future, 2 paces ahead. Think about me, think about you, all the good things a little good thinking can do. Just a world, rolling through space, down gravity's highway into your embrace. And I'm thinking about me, thinking about you, all the good things a little good thinking can do.
What do Brazilian chocolates, Filipino soft drinks, German motor cars, and the South China Morning Post have in common?
You got to have this, and this.
They're all made in factories that use Siemens industrial systems.
Before you eat, or you drink, or you write, or you read, there is this, and this.
All over the world, we make a lot of things that make a lot of things.
So for this, or this.
We're Siemens.
We can do that.
Enterprise rent a car for my trip? Looks expensive.
It's not expensive, Mom.
They pick us up? Sounds expensive.
Pickup's free, Mom.
Well, if it's not expensive, why didn't I get a convertible?
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
Recently, we flew Carrie Eisenhandler and her family to Johns Hopkins for surgery to correct a pre-existing heart condition. We flew Eric Gonzalez to the Cleveland Clinic because of their renowned expertise in treating Crohn's disease. Hopefully, these stories fly in the face of the belief that healthcare isn't what it used to be. We're Aetna U.S. Healthcare, raising the quality of healthcare in America.
If you're a woman with a bladder control problem, call this number to receive free samples of A&D Personal Care, an incredible new line of products that eliminate urine odor on contact, plus valuable information that'll help you live your life the way you want to.
Hurricane in the far western Caribbean, Hurricane Mitch is pushing ever so slowly and powerfully onto the coast of Central America, barely moving now, just 2 miles an hour, lingering over Honduras. With all those winds and that rain and those floods, the center of the storm hasn't even hit land yet. At least 32 people have been killed, including an American who was sailing off Cancun in Mexico. In London, the case against the Chilean dictator Augusto Pinochet took a startling turn in his favor today. A British court has ruled that Pinochet is protected from prosecution and should not have been arrested, although for now he will remain in custody. It is not clear yet what this means for the Spanish judge and others, including Americans who want Pinochet to face charges of war crimes. But ABC's Sheila McVicker has the latest from London tonight.
The ruling infuriated people who had hoped to see the general on trial. Britain's High Court said General Pinochet is entitled, as a former head of state, to immunity from civil and criminal proceedings of the English court.
You can kill, you can commit genocide, you can torture, you can do whatever you want, as long as you declare yourself head of a state.
I mean, we can have Saddam Hussein here next week and we won't be able to touch him under British law. That's clearly crazy.
General Pinochet seized power in 1973 in a coup that was backed by the CIA. His forces turned this soccer stadium into a killing ground. Thousands of his political opponents were murdered here, and tens of thousands were tortured. The U.S. supported General Pinochet until 1976, when his terrorism came to America. Pinochet's agents detonated a car bomb in Washington that killed a political enemy and an American assistant. In the last week, several congressmen had urged the Clinton administration to declassify more documents to aid in the case against the general.
If the court ruling is allowed to stand, it's a travesty for human rights.
There will be an appeal, and other European countries have said that if they get their hands on the general, they would put him on trial. But the thinking tonight is that he may soon be on his way home. Sheila McVicker, ABC News, London.
From Brazil today, an announcement that much of the world has been waiting for. The Brazilian government is going to take financial reform very seriously. It is said there'll be a tax increase and budget cuts, which brings Brazil one step closer to getting a $30 billion economic aid package from the International Monetary Fund. This is a plan that could help avoid a crisis in Latin America that might hurt America, namely the USA, more than the Asian crisis has. On the money, here's ABC's Betsy Stark.
Walk down the street in Rio de Janeiro and you begin to understand why the United States is so determined not to let the Brazilian economy fail. Levi Strauss has 250 retail stores here, more than in any other country. A new McDonald's opens every 3 days. General Motors sold 400,000 cars to Brazilians just last year. Walk into a store and Brazilians are buying refrigerators made by Whirlpool and razor blades made by Gillette. The makeup I wear is American, says this young woman. This young man uses American contact lens solution. His computer is an IBM.
We're dealing here with the 8th or 9th largest economy in the world, a country of 175 million people. That is the critical actor in South America.
450 of the Fortune 500 companies have operations in Brazil. The American Chamber of Commerce says exports to Brazil support more than 200,000 high-wage American jobs. That's why U.S. officials are so anxious to see President Cardoso's economic reform plan work, and why the United States may offer billions of dollars in aid to Brazil beyond what it contributes through the International Monetary Fund. If Brazil does not get out of trouble, then millions of Brazilians will have less money to buy what the U.S. sells there. And with Asian consumers already out of the mix, American businesses would surely feel the pinch. Betsy Stark, ABC News, New York.
Other items on the money. The Securities and Exchange Commission has gone after stock fraud on the internet. More than 40 people and firms charged with pushing stocks on the net without saying they owned the stock or had been paid to push it. There's another way to save. Next week you can buy U.S. savings bonds by simply allowing the government to take the money directly out of your account. It looks like orange juice is going up. Tropicana blames last winter's rain for this winter's 30 cents a gallon increase. Now watch their competitors. And the Phoenix Symphony may go on strike. It's the lowest paid full-time orchestra in the nation. Musicians make about $28,000 a year. Management says there is no new money. When we come back, not everyone is so nostalgic about John Glenn's return to space. We'll take a closer look.
Professional builders, people who make a living with their tools, prefer to buy their tools at the Home Depot more than any other store in America. And whether it's the selection, the quality brands we offer, or our guaranteed commitment to the lowest prices, we think it's a pretty powerful argument for why you should shop here too. The Home Depot, where people who know their stuff buy their stuff.
Has frequent heartburn been a persistent problem for you? Have you treated it but still suffer on 2 or more days a week? Do you keep getting heartburn even though you've changed your diet? Your heartburn may be due to acid reflux disease. Ask your doctor about Prilosec. 1 capsule daily can provide complete 24-hour heartburn relief because it controls acid for 24 hours. 24 hours. Ask your doctor if Prilosec is right for you. Call to learn more. The most common side effects are headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. Want 24-hour heartburn relief with 1 daily dose? Ask your doctor about the most prescribed acid control medicine in America, Prilosec.
Who's built over 2 million computers for small business? Who offers 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week technical support? And who's making sure business has the latest technology, like the Intel Pentium 2 Xeon processor and a custom-built server, plus a desktop and laptop? Lease it all for as low as $199 a month. And who does all that, one customer at a time? Gateway. So give us a call.
I can't afford to have rough hands, not with my patients.
Oh, yes, you are. I try to keep my hands smooth so that it will be comforting when I touch the patient. It's a great thing that this hospital uses Carrie.
Carrie's therapeutic formula works on 3 levels. First, it soothes. Then it moisturizes. Finally, it protects against dryness.
The babies love it when my hands are soft because then my skin is as soft as theirs.
Carrie, it's trusted therapy for dry skin. And there's Carrie antibacterial hand lotion to kill germs as it softens hands.
We're going to focus on the space program again tonight. 24 hours from now, if all goes well, the 7 astronauts on board the Shuttle Discovery, including John Glenn, will be safely in orbit, and most of us who watch the launch, which we'll cover live, will be getting on with other business. It was not always thus. 35 years ago, at the height of the Cold War with the Soviets, the night before a launch was electric. The whole nation was engaged in the space race, though not all the memories are happy ones. Just ask the women. In 1960, Jerry Cobb was one of those who had the right stuff. She and 12 other women were recruited by NASA to compete with the Russians.
Most people didn't even know we existed, you know, that women had been, that had passed the same test that the Mercury astronauts had.
In fact, they did better than that. Jerry Cobb and several other women did even better in training than some of the men, did better in some cases than John Glenn. And if things had been fair, Jerry Cobb, who is now 67, and probably several other women, would have gone into space as Russian women did. But after months of training, to the women's dismay, NASA suddenly said that to be an astronaut, you had to be a military test pilot.
It was the wrong time. They had to fly the boys first.
Jerry Cobb was one of the most accomplished civilian pilots in the nation, but it didn't matter. The military was determined to shut the women out, and NASA agreed. The women took their case to the public, but to no avail. Listen to this reporter's 1960s question.
Well, a pretty girl like you must have thought something about marriage. What about that?
No, I'm more interested in this right now than anything else in the world.
With support from a senator's wife, who was also a pilot, the women took their case to the Congress. John Glenn was called to testify. He said that men fly the planes. That's the social order in America. The Mercury 13 women, as they were called, would be forever earthbound. A year later, in 1963, the Russians put the first woman into space. Valentina Tereshkova was a factory worker. Tomorrow, when John Glenn flies for the second time, Jerry Cobb will be there to wish him well. For many of the other women, the memories are too bitter. When we come back, some thoughts from the old places.
There's an athlete amongst us, disguised as a mother and a neighbor. And when most of us are still sleeping, she's running. She also takes the vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and folic acid in Women's Ultra Mega Multivitamins made by General Nutrition Centers. Tomorrow, she'll get up and run some more. Women's Ultra Mega Multivitamins made exclusively by GNC. Live strong, live well.
Chevy Silverado, the Motor Trend Truck of the Year. It's bigger, it's more powerful. It's the truck from Chevrolet.
You can feel it start to burn all through here. All you can think about is getting rid of it quickly. I even tried Zantac 75, but it didn't work fast enough. Finally, I asked my doctor. And my doctor said Mylanta. Fast-acting Mylanta was made to work fast, where heartburn hurts most. Soothing, on contact. It's so fast. My doctor said Mylanta.
And if you suffer from gas, there's a Mylanta just for you. Mylanta Gas.
On 2020 Tonight, meet Athena, granddaughter of Aristotle Onassis, sole heir to his vast empire. There's an epic battle over her fortune.
A story of international intrigue.
Diane Sawyer, Sam Donaldson, 2020 Tonight.
Finally this evening, with all this attention being given to John Glenn going back into history, it does raise the question, where's America's space program going next? Space program used to be about pushing the envelope, going farther, faster, better than anyone else. ABC's Charlie Gibson tonight with some thoughts on this from Cape Canaveral.
You are looking at ruins. American ruins. As Greeks may feel contemplating the Acropolis, or Romans the Colosseum, you may feel gazing here. For believe it or not, this is what's left of the golden days of American space exploration. This is what's left of the launch pads where Alan Shepard, Neil Armstrong, and John Glenn first left to go to space.
This is Apollo Saturn Launch Control. We are still...
They are abandoned now, given over to weeds, rust, and neglect. It is cheaper to build new pads for today's larger rockets than to repair the relics.
We have a liftoff, 32 minutes past.
We as a nation took such pride in those early flights.
Neil Armstrong reporting.
And early heroes who left from here. They were the embodiment of our national pride as we struggled to catch up to the Russians who dared precede us to space. We achieved the magnificent, beat the Russians to the moon, then reverted to the mundane. Instead of expanding frontiers, we reduced the scope of our visions and settled into shuttle flights around Earth. Oh, the launches are spectacular, and the pictures from the shuttle inspire awe.
Roger, roll.
But the fact remains, we haven't gone anywhere new in manned flight in almost 30 years. Can John Glenn restore the space program to its glory days? No, but he at least lets us recall what we can achieve when we set our minds and money to it. Shuttle flights are routine these days. Nobody takes much notice. But everybody knows that Glenn is going up again. It has put a bounce back in his step. And maybe in all of ours, too. At least it lets us recall the glory days.
Roger, loud and clear.
Charles Gibson, ABC News, the Kennedy Space Center.
Tomorrow, of course, you can watch live ABC News coverage of the launch. John Glenn going back into space with his teammates. Our extended coverage begins at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and we hope you join us. I'm Peter Jennings. Have a good evening and good night.
Tomorrow, HDTV. The most dramatic change in television since color. Will it create mass confusion and make your TV obsolete? Watch World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. ABC News, now always on.